Hello, welcome. It's Ben from Fruits of Fitness here, and today's video is going to be just a bit of fun, really. Essentially, Thor and Eddie Hall, famous strongmen. Thor, short for Hafthor Julius Bjornsson, and the pronunciation might not be quite right there. I'm sure you'll correct me if not in the comments. But essentially, those two have gone up against each other. They've had some sort of rivalry in the past, a few sort of disagreements of various strongman competitions. I'm not going to go into that today, but I'm going to talk to you what I think about the 501 kilogram deadlift that Thor pulled on the Saturday 2nd of May, I believe, this year, which was very recently. I did watch that. Watched the live stream of that, which he carried out in his own gym called Thor's Power Gym, which is a gym in Iceland. It happens to be his own gym, not that I feel like that makes any difference. When Eddie Hall broke the record before that, just 1 kilo less in 2016 at the strongman competition, the World Deadlift Championships, that essentially was absolutely fine. Do you know what I mean? That was validated as a world record, 500 kilos. The 501 was recently claimed to be a world record as well, and that was assessed by some famous judges and what have you. Magnus von Magnusson was there, and Lawrence Charlet was doing the live commentary there. It was all officially, do you know what I mean? All the weights were weighed. It was absolutely perfectly legitimate in terms of how I saw it. I was very impressed with how it was done. It was done in such a way that cheating can be kind of stamped out because of the officials that were there. Although obviously you can't have that many there, and I was quite impressed with the social distancing and how that was employed there. So very well done on that thought. What I'd say in terms of these records, I'd say there's a bit of controversy about whether the record should count because it was carried out inside a gym environment rather than actually in a competition. Eddie Hall's record before that was carried out in a competition, as the previous deadlift records were in strongman. There are exceptions where records classed as weightlifting records, though, are not carried out in competition yet still regarded and well renowned as records. And these are things like the Dinnie Stones world record, currently held by Brian Shaw, 4 times world strongest man champion, which is an event that people can travel to in Scotland. They can lift stones and they can either hold them for as long as they want, they can carry them as far as they can. It's kind of a more flexible record in terms of what you actually do with the stones, but essentially the record obviously is the greatest number in whatever discipline or way you want to actually manipulate and move those stones. Now the reason why I bring up that is because that isn't actually in a competition, because it's outside. There's no kind of event there as such when people go to do it. They just do it in their own kind of casual time, and there's just a record kept of people who've tried it. The difference between that and obviously lifting in a gym environment is that in a gym environment you're essentially on your own and there's no one else kind of trying the weight or what have you, especially when it's your own gym and it's a closed circle of people there. So that's the sort of main difference. With Dinnie Stones, anyone can go and actually try them. That said, a lot of top athletes might well have their own gym set up and what have you, and having had this record, they might well now be able to actually, as long as they have the right officials there, that might be the new standard for world records, in the sense that people go there and try it out, which in principle is essentially the same as kind of the Dinnie Stones, in the sense that people go there and try it out. The one kind of difference there, though, is that one is kind of everyone can access. Do you know what I mean? Anyone can go and do the Dinnie Stones where they are, yet not anyone can go to these specific gyms where these records are being set. So there's kind of a slight grey area there. But in essence, as long as the right records are kept, the right officials are there, there's not a huge difference between how those two examples or records are set. Also, deadlifts in competitions, you have different variables, as Brian Shaw discussed before, who's very experienced as strongman, who's very, very aware of the rules and how the sport works, which I greatly advocate him and his own personal point of view. My point of view is that, yes, in competitions there are different variables, I completely agree, which in essence are lift times. You don't know exactly when you're going to have to lift, and there's lots of other factors at play. The bar could be slippery, that you're actually lifting, there might be a slight discrepancy or issue with how it's situated and what have you, but everyone equally has that same problem, because it's quite a fair thing, really. With this record, though, there's no one else actually trying it, so it's hard to fully confirm, and none of the officials there actually tried it to kind of demonstrate how difficult to lift the weight was, and the weight was weighed by not the official referee. The weights were weighed by Thor's dad. So there's these little kind of nuances that might not quite be right, but in principle, setting a record in a gym should be absolutely fine, because there's no reason why no one else can go to a gym and do the record, just like no one else can have a go in a strongman competition. So it's open to other people to have a go in the same way, and as long as it's consistent, in the sense that everyone sort of tries it in their own gym and it's kind of made official by officials being there and it's recognised as a record, I don't think there's any problem with classifying it as a record. Should it be classified as the same record in the same way as a world record in a competition? Not necessarily. So I think potentially there should be different kinds of records which are recognised. So in terms of a gym record, I think it should be classed as a gym record, 501 kilos in a gym, which is still the heaviest lifted record there is, but it's still a different kind of record to a record that's set in a competition setting, because there's lots of other variables that potentially can work against you and make that more challenging. So my conclusion is two different types of records, both equally as valid, both different kinds of records, both fantastic achievements. To lift that kind of weight is extremely impressive and the seemingly impossible ever, based on what's been done before. So it's been fantastic to see these over the last few years. We really have been treated, and like I say, I thoroughly enjoyed the live stream with Thor doing his gym, which I recognise as a valid gym record, and Eddie Hall years before in a competition, which I also recognise as a world record set in a competition. So that those are two different kinds of records, and both equally as valid as each other, both equally as good based on the circumstances they were conducted in. So that's how I see it. I recognise both, and yes, so remember to like and subscribe to this video if you liked it. Hope you did, and we'll be back with some more very shortly. The other thing I will mention, just briefly promote my book, which is Live Longer, Recipes for Long Life. It's entitled, you can find it on Amazon, just type that in, Live Longer, Recipes for Long Life. And essentially this is recipes from around the world that I've researched from the countries with the lowest infant mortality and highest life expectancy, and there's over 40 recipes from these different countries, breakfast, lunch and dinner and snack suggestions as well. So please check that out, the link's in the description. Any money that goes towards that obviously helps me in my YouTube production, it helps me in general, so it's just brilliant. So please do that, to give you something to do in lockdown as well. Look over some recipes, do some cooking and things, and as you see from my last video, I greatly enjoy the nutrition side of things, so please do that. Remember to like and subscribe to this channel, and see you in the next one. Thanks.